as a means to give you best practices and tips and tricks to have exceptional senior fitness programming. So if you can stick around, great. If you can't, check back to the Facebook or LinkedIn page for Stronger You Senior Fitness, or our YouTube channel, where you can see all 21 of the episodes. All right, so we're going to get right into it here because I got lots of content for you today. Let's go next slide here. There we go. All right, so I'm not going to go through this slide because this is what we went through last week. We talked about preparing for your reopening and some of the things that you might want to consider. Now, you can see there's a huge list here. So I do recommend, if you didn't tune in last week, go to the Stronger You Senior Fitness LinkedIn or Facebook pages or our YouTube channel and go through that episode that I did last week. You're definitely going to want to think about some of these things on the list here. But today, what I want to focus on is what you should be offering to reboot your schedule. And if you saw the slide forward, you'd be like, oh, Emily, you're talking about this again, but it's so important. I'm talking about what you should have on your schedule. And for me, it always surrounds Canada's physical activity guidelines or the World Health Organization guidelines or the American guidelines. If you look at them, they're all saying pretty well the same thing. And that's these sort of 4 items here. So when you're looking at reopening and recrafting your group fitness schedule, you want to make sure that you have each of these items on your schedule. We're definitely seeing that people have been either staying at home, or if you're in senior living, seniors have been staying in their suites. So there is bound to be a loss of physical fitness. Even if you're not an older adult, if you are of any age, even children, we're not moving around as much during quarantine because we're not doing the things that we would probably normally do. And so as a result, we can see a decline in fitness. But the good thing is that if we're doing the right things, we can regain back that fitness that we've lost. All right. I don't know if we're live on LinkedIn, so I apologize if we're not, and I'll post it afterwards. It looks like we are live on Facebook, so feel free to ask questions along the way. Tell me things that are working for you or what you're excited about with reopening. So just a quick review, Canada's physical activity guidelines. So 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity in bouts of 10 minutes or more. 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening activities for all of the major muscle groups, and activities to enhance balance and prevent falls. And then, of course, the more physical activity you do, the greater the benefits. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, yes, Emily, we know Canada's physical activity guidelines. We know the guidelines. We know what we should be doing. We're doing it. But I always challenge people to critically look at the schedule they're putting together. And when you look at it critically with a fine-tooth comb, with a magnifying glass, you sometimes realize that you're not actually truly hitting the standards. And we need to hit those standards in order for us to truly make that difference in the lives of the individuals that we're working with. So I want to go through these guidelines, but I'm going to use the FIT principle. So the FIT principle is an acronym, F-I-T-T, and it stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. So when you have a goal, something you're trying to achieve, you then need to have these 4 principles in mind when trying to achieve that goal. So we're going to go through Canada's physical activity guidelines and we're going to apply these principles. I'm going to go through a little bit fast because if you've been with me since episode 1, this is actually something I talk about in episode 1 in really great detail. So if you want more information, go back to episode 1 on our YouTube channel or on the Senior Fitness Facebook or LinkedIn page. Okay. All right, so the first one, 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity in bouts of 10 minutes or more. So lots of words on this screen here. I'm going to take you through it and draw your attention to certain items. So I want you to go down to the 3rd row, 150 minutes per week. So we know this number, and if we break it down in a per day, it's about 20 minutes per day, a little bit more actually to equal the 150 minutes. And if you want to do it less days per week, then of course you just increase your time. Now, the next line I want to draw your attention to is line number 2. So the moderate to vigorous intensity. So often this is the item that I see is missing or that we're not quite getting, which is so crucially important for hitting these guidelines. So you do need to hit that moderate to vigorous intensity. So as you're getting your class marching or moving or whatever you're doing, you need to check in with them and to say to them, hey, where do you feel you're working on a scale from 1 to 10? If they say, oh, maybe about a 2, maybe about a 3, then they're not getting that intensity. And really, we can't start the timer on the minutes, okay? So this is important because every class, we've talked about class components before, should start with a warm-up. So 5 to 10 minutes where we gradually increase the intensity in order to allow our body to adjust to the new conditions that we're creating for it. But we are not going from sitting right into moderate to vigorous intensity, okay? So we don't start the clock, so to speak, until we hit that intensity. So once your class says, yep, I'm at that 5, I'm at that 6, great. Now we're working towards those 150 minutes. So I hope that makes sense. That's one of the most crucial points I really like to drive home. And as I said, go back and watch episode 1 where I go into this in much, much greater detail. Now, let's say we have a 30-minute class and we're going to do, this is very small, but let's say conservatively a 5-minute warm-up at the beginning, a 5-minute cool down at the end where we're stretching and slowly getting back to our pre-exercise state. In that 30-minute class, you're only going to get about 20 minutes towards your 150 minutes. So that's why at the very first row, it says 7.5 days per week. So you'd have to do that intensity 20 minutes per day, 7.5 days a week. So essentially you have to have on one of those 7 days, you have to do a longer cardio workout in order to hit your 150 minutes. So now just pause for a moment and think. Anyone, any age, do you even hit these standards? And this is the same standard really for adults as well. It's at 150 minutes. Are we getting to that at 150 minutes? So this is what I want you to look at when you're rebooting your schedule for this time. Cardiovascular health is so important. So whether it's going to be a cardio class, a walking group, it's going to be using the cycle bikes in your gym, whatever it might be, which is the fourth row down there, the type of activity. We need to give the people we're working with that opportunity to reach that 150 minutes, okay? So making sure, looking at your schedule, your newly schedule that you're going to put out as you're opening up, do you have an opportunity for your older adults to meet those 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity, okay? And then just one remark before I move on about the 10 minutes or more, you do want to ensure that, that you're kind of going at that 5 to 7 for at least 10 minutes. And there's research behind this 10-minute number. It's not just kind of thrown out there. And the research has shown that below 10 minutes, we didn't really see that great effect on health. Now, that's not to say if someone can only do 2 minutes or only do 5 minutes that they shouldn't even bother. They should be working up to those 10 minutes of physical activity. All right, I'm going to pause for a second and just take a look at both of our platforms. Not really sure what's going on yet with LinkedIn here, but hopefully I can post it in for them afterwards. And hello to Facebook, hello to everyone who's joined. Thank you. All right, moving right along. So we've got our opportunity for cardiovascular work, now muscular strength. So at least 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening activities. So that takes off line number 1, clear and simple, 2 days per week. For the intensity, we talked about this last week as well with if you're able to register people into your class of helping them each to know what weight they use and having that weight next to their chair. So check out last week's episode if you want to hear more about that. But we need to choose a resistance, whether that's a weight or a band or what it might be, a machine, exercise machine, where we can do 8 to 12 repetitions, but those last few repetitions should be really difficult. It should be like, oh, I'm getting to the end of my set and oh, thank God that exercise is over, okay? And I see way too often people grabbing those 1 pound weights. If I had a magic wish, I would just poof, make them all disappear because they're not functional. Your purse, a plate at a buffet, which I know buffets are not in our future, but many things, your new grandchild, these things are not going to be, they're going to be way more than 1 pound. So the only time you would see an individual using a 1 pound weight is if they've just undergone a procedure or a surgery and the doctor has said that they're not to lift over a certain weight. But even then, usually 2 pounds might be what they're allowed at that point. But if they're having restrictions, totally fine. Those will be the only people allowed to use those lighter weights. And then the type of exercises. So you can do body weight, you can do weights and bands, you can have equipment like exercise machines, and you want to go through all of the major muscle groups. Now I should have remembered this, but in one of the past episodes, I feel like it's episode like 4 or 7, go back and take a look. I actually talk one episode about upper body and one episode about lower body exercises. And you want to be sure to hit all the major muscle groups. So I won't go through them all now, pointing to my body because you won't be able to see, but biceps, triceps, shoulder, chest, back, abdominals. And then for the lower body, glutes, hamstrings, quads, your gastrocnemius or your calves, and the anterior tibialis at the front of the legs. So these are all those most important moves. Too often I see a strength training class and we're doing things like going for a swim or, like weirdly stretching bands around. I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is not effective. We need to figure out what the muscles we're targeting and what's the exercise that's going to help us achieve the strengthening of that muscle. So once again, I apologize, I don't remember what episode it is, but go back to the episode because I really, really break it down, all of the different muscles and exercises you can do to target each of those muscle groups. Okay. So recap, we have at least 150 minutes of that moderate to vigorous intensity available on our calendar, on our schedule. And then we have at least 2 days per week of muscle and bone strengthening activities, and probably a lot more because our group sizes are still needing to be, I think most provinces now have gone up to at least 10, but you might need to offer multiple classes so everyone can have their opportunity to get their exercises. So perfect. Everyone looks good. Not sure what's going on with LinkedIn, but we'll figure that out later. All right, next, physical activity to improve balance and prevent falls. So the Canadian guidelines don't actually set out a days per week or frequency, but the World Health Organization does recommend 3 days per week. So that's what I'm listing here is 3 days per week. And in regards to intensity, you want elements of progression and challenge. If standing with your feet together in a narrow stance is super easy, that's not going to help someone increase their balance. They need to start doing harder and harder stances or harder and harder activities in order to see that increase in their balance. The time you do is, of course, going to be activity dependent, but I do always recommend, number one, if you make sure your schedule reflects the cardiovascular and the strengthening exercises, then you're really likely to hit this one quite naturally. Because if we think about when individuals fall, individuals will sometimes fall when walking because maybe the muscles in their legs are getting weak and it's getting harder for their psoas major to lift up their knee and to get over, let's say, a change in the floor from hardwood to carpet, or out on the street, stepping over a curb. So if you're working on the cardiovascular and the strength, you've got good strength in your legs, you've got good cardiovascular strength to be able to walk yourself down that street, then you're going to be less likely to have those falls. Also, the type of activities you want to put in here is coordination activities. So things like beanbag toss, ladder ball, Wii bowling, other physical games. These things are going to help with that hand-eye coordination because the other way we see a lot of older adults fall is when they do a quick turn or the phone rings and they get up quickly out of a chair to go over to the phone. So it's that coordination. It's being able to navigate through your environment, hand-eye, equilibrium. So there's a whole lot of things that go into balance, more than just wanting to just stand on one leg or walk one foot in front of the other. These are all good things to test how your balance is, but you want to do a whole host of other activities that are going to be well-rounded for your fitness experience and that will contribute to you preventing falls. Okay? Once again, I'm going to pause there and check if we have any questions. Feel free to ask questions, guys. Tell me your experiences, and if you're taking notes, that's great. These are the 3 things you want to include. And if you're like, hey, Emily, is there an all-encompassing area where I can do a bit of a checklist before I open or before I start my schedule? Yes. So I have a checklist here. I'm going to just pull away from my presentation and pull up my checklist here instead. So I know it's very, very tiny. I don't want you to actually have to look and see what's on the checklist right now. I'm going to post this to both the Stronger You Senior Fitness LinkedIn and Facebook pages following the webinar today. But this is I talk about this in another Art of Senior Fitness Program Design episode as well. I think it's episode 6. So feel free to head to episode 6 and I go through this checklist. But essentially it ensures, do you have your foundation? Are you a certified senior fitness instructor? Do you know what you're doing? Or do the people in your building, let's say you're an executive director or a general manager of a building, do the people that you've hired to do this role know what they're doing? And then it talks about your program schedules. So basically everything I've just gone through with you, it asks you to check the boxes, to write things down, to make sure that you're truly hitting these items. And then even further to that, it goes through program enhancements. So what are you doing to offer intellectual, social, emotional, environmental engagement as well, and really have a really holistic and multi-layered program. And what else do I have here? Oh, and then at the very end, it talks about program awareness. So how are you marketing the program, as well as program adherence? How do you keep people coming back for more? So I will post that after. And if you can't find it on the Stronger You Senior Fitness LinkedIn or Facebook pages, I will give you my email at the end, and you can always reach out to me and get it via email. So let's go back here. All right. Wonderful. So next, we've got our 4 things that we're working on. I want to take a mention about virtual classes. So actually go to the Stronger You Senior Fitness website and subscribe to our newsletter, because I'm going to be doing a teaching via Zoom and other platform training. And this training is not going to be live. You have to register for it. It's completely free, but you will learn about that through the Stronger You Senior Fitness June newsletter, which comes out tomorrow. So head to strongeryouSeniorFitness.com and register for that newsletter so you can learn about registering for that. So I would recommend, even if you haven't jumped on the virtual class bandwagon, you might want to think about it, because I think virtual is going to play such a large role going forward. It's not going anywhere. So it'll be great to get back in person, but with small restrictions on group sizes and perhaps even the restriction with your space, being able to still socially distance within the spaces you have to work with, you might need to continue to offer virtual classes. So head to strongeryouSeniorFitness.com and subscribe to our newsletter to learn more about the training I'm going to do on virtual classes. That's coming up on, I believe, the 23rd of June. Now, I want to talk a bit about if you're not certified. So now is the time, guys. People have lost their, physical strength, not lost all of it, but they've lost a bit of it. Whatever that is, we don't want it to become a downward spiral. So it is more important than ever that you feel that you can offer exceptional fitness experiences. So as you know, I'm the founder and creative director of Stronger You Senior Fitness. I do this every week in case it's not within your ability or within your financial means to become a Stronger You Senior Fitness instructor. But I do urge you, if you're looking for something because you want to come back and reopen with a bang and really help your clients, then I definitely would urge you to consider becoming a Stronger You Senior Fitness instructor. As I mentioned, Canada's first pre-choreographed senior fitness series. So once you become certified, what that means is we give you ongoing content every single month. It's also online. So right now, if you wanted to become a senior fitness instructor, a lot of organizations have paused their trainings because they're not set up to be online. And so ours is, and you can start it today. You can do it this weekend. By Monday, you can be working on your choreography and getting ready for your reopening. We have 4 program formats. So cardio, strength, stretch, and circuit. So again, this ties back to what we talked about at the beginning. How do you hit all of these boxes and ensure you're truly hitting Canada's physical activity guidelines? Well, at Stronger You Senior Fitness, we give it to you. We give you your cardio routine, your strength routine, your stretch routine, which is mindfulness and flexibility, and circuit, which is our balance-based program. And if you're looking at getting your CECs, we are accredited through CanFit Pro, and you can also usually challenge for other courses as well. So BCRPA and the Alberta Fitness Leadership, AFLCA, by just submitting your certificate and the amount of hours it took you to complete the certification. And just another note, so if this is the first time you've heard about Stronger You Senior Fitness, again, go check out the website. But I just want to show you kind of how we're different from the other certifications out there. So in the freestyle model, where you go to a certification course, you're learning in a classroom. Typically, it's 1 to 2 days, 8 hours. At the end, you've got some exercises, but I hear from a lot of instructors that they don't really know what to do, how to put it all together. So I wanted to build off of those pain points I had heard for so many years from people taking the traditional freestyle model. And so with Stronger You Senior Fitness, you learn at your own pace and around your schedule from any device. And then once you're done your certification, we continue to give you those 30 minutes of new content every single month in those 4 formats. Okay. Now, if you want to get certified this weekend, you've got 1 week. You can use promo code OPEN. OPEN, and you can actually save $50. All right. And actually, when you go ahead and subscribe to the Stronger You Senior Fitness newsletter, you will also find out about a new referral program we have going on. It's going to go on for a limited time, and basically, it's give 50, get 50. So as a Stronger You Senior Fitness instructor, you can give your referral code out. That person saves $50, and you get $50. So pretty good deal. It's going to be for a limited time. Go and subscribe to the newsletter, and then you can learn all about that program. That's going to be brand new. So that is all I have for you today. A lot of what I talked about today is things I've actually spoken about in other The Art of Senior Fitness program design episodes, but I wanted to tie it all together today because I feel like this is a second chance. This is an opportunity to reopen with a bang and really help your participants succeed. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact me through my email at emily@strongeryouSeniorFitness.com. Visit the Stronger You Senior Fitness website and subscribe to our newsletter to hear about all of those exciting things that I mentioned today. And if you are looking to become a Stronger You Senior Fitness instructor, use promo code OPEN, OPEN, to save $50. And that is going to be valid until next Friday. So 1 week, that code will be valid, and we hope you will join our team. It's an exciting team, and we want to help you help the older adults you serve regain that physical fitness. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. If you enjoyed the webinar, all I ask, share it on your social media channels, and join me next week, same time, same place, and we'll be talking about more tips, tricks, and strategies to create exceptional senior fitness experiences. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.